Just for the sake of having to make this one video, I'm just going to quickly briefly go over what we're using today is the set called Bless the Food 2-pack, where we have some beautiful sayings here. I'm using an upcycled board, and this is the second stencil in the set. And if some of you are new to the live just now, and instead of going long ways, which this one sort of lends to going long ways, I'm going to go this way and add some transfers on the side. So let's get started with our transfers, and hopefully nothing else will happen here. I was mentioning before I was rudely interrupted by the temperature that about the QR codes on the transfers. That's a handy link when you purchase those. You also get a transfer rubbing on thing, plastic tool, which is handy. Now, as you can see, I have literally cut out some of my transfers so that they're ready to use. And so you can do the same thing if you just sort of cut around the pictures and add it into a Ziploc bag, and then they're all sort of there, ready to use for your stenciling. All right, I feel like I'm a little bit flustered today, but hey, let's go with the flow. So instead of, I'm going to use this for placement right now, and I am going to get my sunflower transfers that I'm using from the Pumpkins and Sunflower set, which is in fact on sale, and you can see the links in the description of my live right there. So we have to cut these out individually to use. Let's go down and I'll show you how I kind of work around placing the transfers on here. So hopefully my ice pack doesn't fall off the camera stand. Oh, hilarious. Not fun when you're trying to do something serious. Guys, crafting is so serious, right? Glad you're all back here with me. Join in on the comments, because you know that we will give away prizes for 3 lucky winners at the end of our live. And sorry, just joining in on the comments here with you so I can read some, because now that I've pointed my phone down, it's a bit harder to see. Yes, watching from Georgia, Cindy. Awesome. Brenda loves the transfers that she has ordered. That's amazing. Yes, we have, yeah, thanks. Great ideas for storage, she said, in the little Ziploc bags. So I'm going to be cutting out some of these sunflowers. I love these leaves. I love the sunflowers. What I was saying earlier is that I love sunflowers for all year round type decor. Summer, they're great for fall, which these were with the pumpkin set as well. So I'm just going to cut right around that. But I love using sunflowers for all year round. They're just such a sunny colour. To me, they just represent life and flourishing. So I sort of arrange them, as you can see here. So what we'll do is when we lift that plastic backing off there, it'll be clear. And so the stem of this, we want that to sit behind here. So as I'm cutting out and placing things down, I have a think about which way that we would have to arrange it. So, you know, things going behind and in front of other items. And so we've got leaves. So instead of putting the leaf on top of this, is that a daisy? I think it's a daisy. We would put it behind. And now don't be concerned about the gaps in between here, because we'll deal with those, and those are going to be, someone just said, if something's going to go wrong, it will always happen during a live. That's funny. Hi, yes, someone's coming on. Ellen from Washington State. That's amazing. You said you're coming on late, but literally we've just started because I'm so behind today. We had a few little technical issues. Well, they weren't really, one of them was my fault. I went, first of all, live on my own page. And then my phone literally told me, you can't be live anymore because the temperature of your phone. I haven't even been on it very much today. Look, see these leaves here? They are gorgeous, aren't they? So we could place that one down there. I did want to use, now this one's currently out of stock, but we may be able to, they may be coming back in stock. Maybe Essential Stencil can let us know. This is the sunflowers set. I just wanted to use one of their huge, large sunflowers from this set to put up here and show you how, this is the reason why I want to do the stencil last, because I want it to show up over the top of this huge sunflower. So if you do have some of the larger rub-on transfers, you can use them as a bit of a background and stencil over the top. So there's that. Okay, so that just is huge, but what will happen is we'll see that behind here, and hopefully as we do our stenciling, that'll pop out through to come out nicely. All right, so adding some of this, we've got some more little daisies here. Just as I go along, see, you get all these loose ends, and so you want to just cut those off, and then we can add them to my little Ziploc bag that will be just for sunflowers, for example. You can label them all differently as you start collecting your transfers. It's a great little way to store them, and then having that cardboard in there will help to kind of keep them flat as well. So just doing a bit more cutting out, deciding which ones we'll use. I like this one, it's facing up there, and maybe we could use another one of these daisies here. What are these? Oh, these are little ones. I wanted to use one of these. See how they're facing this way? You kind of want to probably use these for this side. So again, I would put that behind there, and it could come out on top of that leaf. So you just sort of space them out and arrange them. Yeah, so, Trina's saying, I didn't realise you can stencil on top of the rub-ons. Yeah, so depending on the type of paint you can use chalk paint. I use a furniture type paint. So I'm just going to add this sunflower on here. But I want to watch and be mindful of that gap there. So I want the full flower up on the top. And I could still use these daisies, but maybe I'll use this one here. Well, I've got that huge sunflower. We maybe have enough. All right, so now that I've got my placement sort of sorted, and I won't be using these from the stencil. Let me just put that down a little bit further. And as I go, I'll move them across. Let's start with this layer down here. I'll move my, do I need to move it right away? I'll move my stencil across. So the first one I've got is this one here to place, and I'll just have to kind of move these slightly so I can remember where I've put it, and remember, you could even put a tape or something to remind you where you've placed it. So if I put the top of it right here, that helps me to be guided as to where I want my transfer. So I'm not sticking it, I'm not taping it to the transfer, I'm just adding it as a little guideline to go, this is where it needs to be when I take the backing off. So see, I've removed it. Now I know where I'm going to be placing it down once I've put it on. So here we go, just, oh, I do need to figure out though, yeah, there we go, that stem and where that will land. Now we're doing this on just a, well, it's not completely raw. I feel like it's stained, but it is quite a porous finish, which is always a really good one for the good finish for these rub-on transfers. If it's a slick and glossy surface, you tend to have to rub a little bit harder, I find, anyway. So, oh, Sonia, lovely things to say about Essential Stencil there. Thank you, Sonia. Enjoying our ambassador lives. And yeah, you can see a lot more of our lives on the Facebook page right here. And just go to the video section and see any of our previous lives. So I've given that a really good rub onto the wood. Let me just move these off, and we'll, each time I put an added layer on, so you can see there's the transfer there. I haven't taken that plastic top coat off yet. Let's start from the bottom, and we have that gap. So I'm going sort of on an angle, right where that gap is in here, and it should just tear off where that joins. Oh, okay, now we're having trouble with the transfer. There we go. We're on the move. Okay, so what's going to happen right here at this edge is, oh, it's going to go down in. That's fine. We can deal with that. And then as we do this edge, could make it go in there too, if you wanted to. There we go. So as I pull it up, if there are any little bits stuck, those little bits that you may or may not be seeing right there are from the inside that gap where it hasn't come off as well. That's fine. There we go. Right to the end. Ah, beautiful. So then I just use my fingers to just make sure all those little sticky edges are down, and it really does feel so smooth to the touch. Now here are my little place markers. I can maybe use them in a minute for my next lot. So remembering sort of where I had my pieces, I would have that one over the top of that, but this down the bottom, this one around about there. So I'm wanting those stems to tuck in and hide under. So this one will be placed about there. So then, and it doesn't have to be exact. Okay, so the edge of that one's going to be there, the top edge will be here. So see how I'm just lining up the white cutout part of the paper to know where I place it when I lay it back down. So here's the top part of my plastic going against that part of the tape here where I've taped it off. And once again, rubbing, rubbing, rubbing. Sonia's waiting for warmer weather to get outside to make some boards. All right, so I can see that some of these little bits and pieces, let me see if I can see what you're seeing. You'll see some little bits and pieces might start to stick on the back. If they do, you just lay it back down and rub again in that spot. Okay, so this is a daisy. Am I right about that? Don't know my flowers really well, but there you go. There's the daisy, worked beautifully. And now our sunflowers down the bottom right here. And yeah, I was mentioning how you can, let's see if I can add that around about there. You can add stencils over the top of these transfers. So here I go. I was going to put a place marker, but hey, I'm not in the mood for putting a place marker right now. Oh, can you feel my frustrations on my technology difficulties today? Oh, Tammy says my phone's done that in the car, but not in my home. I know, right? What is the problem? I haven't even been on my phone this morning apart from doing this live, so it must be throwing a real temper tantrum. For real. Temperature tantrum. Temperature tantrum, that's a new thing. I don't know, I get a little frustrated when I'm hot too, hot and flustered. All right, so transferring on. So who in the comments, let me know, who has not done transfers before? I did ask that before, but I forgot to look at the comments. Thank you so much, Joyce. Look at you sprinkling this live again. Oh man, yeah, other people having heated problems too. Caroline says, I did it on some rough boards and had to rub with the grain and it worked great. Yes, so yes, you can rub with the grain. Great idea, which would be this way, and it will work great. I am getting just a couple of little bits that I have to, let's use Joyce's tactic here. Oh, see, it's just little areas on the board, and depending on the surface, that will just need a little bit of an extra rub on. And I'm wondering, for those of you who have used the transfers, have you noticed any difference, like if it's really, really hot weather versus really cool temperatures while you're using transfers? Does that make a difference? So if it was really hot today, am I going to get more sticky or less sticky? I hadn't really used very many transfers before until I started using Essential Stencils transfers. They are really lovely. I've only done a couple before this on pieces of furniture, and you'll be able to see those over on my blog at irestorestuff.com. You follow me there for lots of furniture tips, furniture painting tips and tutorials. Just getting almost there. As I'm peeling it up, now we've got this join here along the board, remember? So I'm going at a diagonal, and hopefully you can see that, just on those edges to try and push that down there. And then as I lift, just looking for any other little areas. So that should lift underneath. Peeling that off. Peeling it off this side. Then we should be able to could even come from another direction. Sorry, I've got my hand covering it there. Tricky to try and do this and see it at the same time. There we go. All right. So these transfers, I think I mentioned this before on the other live. Maybe I didn't mention it here. It's so hard now. I've got 2 or 3 videos in different places. Oh my goodness. But this one is from the pumpkins and sunflower set that's on sale at the moment. So you can use my code IRESTORESTUFF and grab that from the Essential Stencil store before they run out. So I love sunflowers for any time of year. Oh, so they work better for me if they are on the cold side. I stick them in the freezer a lot of times before I use them. Wow, there's a good idea for you. Okay, so we've got those on the board. I love that look just on the raw wood. That's great. I'm happy with that. Now here's our stencil is going to be placed right about there. And so I've got this huge, larger one. Now I have to just shift this so I can see it up here that I want to place so I can show you how we stencil over the top. So let's just go ahead with this one. And this is going to have a few different joiny bits. So we've just removed the white backing and stand up for this one. Place it right about there. Now it will go over 2 boards, and I'll just take it as far to the edge as I can so I can just rub that down with my hands. Let me just turn the board around so we can get a better look at this. I've got a book under here to lean it up so we can get the right angle, because oh, how many know doing this on your laptop is a bit tricky. So these, again, we've got this join right here. You could in fact cut that and it may be easier. Let me see if I can get my scissors right down here. Look at that. I'm going to cut this transfer right down the center. And we're just going to have those rough jagged edges, but they'll just sit in under there, or they'll come off right at the edge. So I'm not worried about that. Let's see if I can peel from the top this time. Oh, there's a big bit that came off there. See that? And just place it back down. My zoom in effect, literally just laying the laptop down further. Oh, there's that bit that came off. Stick it back down. Whoop, there we go. The other thing that I was mentioning earlier on one of the other times that I went live and it stopped, if you saw or are a part of the Stencil of the Month Club, Grace's stencil from last month, which I think we're nearly on to the next one now, it has these beautiful wreath flourishes that you could also, would be a great addition to these stencils that I'm using today, the Bless This Food 2-pack set. Even if you do get some little bits that are off, if I've got a rustic sign like this, I'm not going to be too worried about them, you know, because you could even sand these back to give even more distressed look on your signs. It's another fun idea. See how we're just working at as much as we can to rub in all those bits that might be coming off. There we go. See, I've got a lot that has come off that one, mainly because I didn't take the time to rub it further. I'm trying to rush my project today. I wonder why. It's all good. Again, I'm trying to see comments, but I can't see everybody's. They are really pretty. Where does the wood come from? Brenda's asking. This one just came from a craft shop that was already pre-made. You can see on the back here, it's just held together with two little boards either end. That looks like, for some of you handy people who love to upcycle things, it would be really quite easy to do. Just put 4 boards together and space them out a little bit evenly if you want the gap. If you don't want that gap in all of the spaces, you can close that up just using those boards at the back to be your stabilizing 2 pieces, and then nail them down. Very easy to use for upcycling. All right, so my little bits that are coming off onto the paper over this edge are those ones that have fit into that hole there, so I'm just going to push those in afterwards when I've finished laying this all down. And I want to get the most part everything down, but again, like I said, I'm not too concerned because this is a rustic looking sign, and you could even distress this further to make it even more antique, vintage looking, if you wanted to do that. But it does take a little bit of time and patience sometimes if you want to get it really super smooth look. And again, I was saying before, it really does depend on the surface that you're going onto. And someone mentioned before that on really hot weather, which it is for me today, it helps to just pop them into the refrigerator or the freezer for a minute, then do the transfer, and then it will transfer. It'll be less sticky, I suppose. All right, so then we've got those beautiful edges. Look at that. Isn't that cute? I love it. All right, so which was my top and which was my bottom? This is the top right here. So if that's right, I'm facing this way. I've changed my camera angle. So here's the signboard with the sunflowers on it. And then we're going to use our bless the food before us, the family beside us, and the love between us. So that's the stencil that we're going to be using today, and I'm hoping that the white stands out nicely against the sunflower there. So I will add some more bits down the bottom here, but I'll do that later after our live because I want to show you stenciling tips. So here's our brushes. If you joined us for the first time today and you haven't seen Essential Stencils in action, these are the stencil brushes that are also available using my code IRestoreStuff for 10% off. They come in different sizes, and so I'm just going to use the 3/4 inch brush today, and we always offload our brush as much as we can on some cardboard. So I've got my little space right here that I can do that on. This is actually clean, but I'm just going to use a little bit of white. This is furniture paint, it's Fusion Mineral Paint, but you can use any acrylic water-based paint to do your stenciling with. I'm just offloading that brush as much as I can. What I do want to do is tape this down. I want to center it, but what we have to do is just move this slightly. Now I'm going to move the words up and down a little bit as I stencil because I want to make sure that I get all of the words in. So I might do blessed, and then I'm going to add this bit, and then I'm going to push it down, add this bit, and then push it down further and add these bits. Okay, so I think we start with blessed and that. Just working myself out here. Here we go. So centered, we've got blessed right here. These are going to be my taping edges to keep the whole sign still. But then I want to tape off, although it won't go, it'll just go over the edge. So see, we've got that gap in the board here. My words will be lost if I leave them on that gap. So I'm going to shift this down to this second board. So see how you can just kind of move your stencils around? All right, brushes ready and loaded. Just going to do the blessed, and then we're going to move the board down. So we want a nice rustic look, not necessarily having to cover every little bit of lettering, or you can get a nice solid coverage if you take the time to do a second coat, for example. See, I'm going just almost into those words. If that was actually on the board, I'd have to take those off, but because it's in the gap, I know it's not going anywhere important. Okay, dipping and offloading my brush just in a circular motion. It works it into the bristles, and it also gets it quite dry. See how I can't see any paint, you know, clumping together on the end of the brush? It's because it's very dry. Almost nothing on there, but as you can see, whoops, oh, it moved. My tape wasn't taped down properly. Thank you guys all so much for jumping back on the live after my little technical issues today. I really love all your support. You're so kind. You always have lovely things to say in the comments. Okay, so there is our bless. And you can see it has come over the sunflower a little bit, so that's lovely. You could do that bolder afterwards on a second coat. All right, see how I'm just moving this below the gap that's here in the board so I don't miss my words. Now my Y is going into the gap, but that's okay. We can still read the words. And our T and H cover over the sunflower, so we're going to paint over the top of that. And again, these ones go in the gap, and we want these in, so it's all good. We don't have to tape off any words down there. Okay, offloading here again. Sorry, I can't quite read your comments just yet. I will get there. And if you do have any questions, please keep them coming in the comments. And I always go back after the live, and I read your comments and answer questions. If you're needing links to anything, please ask there. Essential Stencil's got all the links there listed, usually pinned to the top comment. And those little words, really easy to do with just that lovely swirling motion. But some of you are looking at this if you've never stenciled, or if you've tried it and you're like, oh, I've got too much paint bleeding in underneath the stencil. It's because you need to offload your brush more, and then you can do this super fast with just a nice swirly motion like that. Now giving it a bit more coverage up here. And it's easier, it's better to just be adding a little bit more to your brush at a time, rather than having too much on your brush and getting it bleeding underneath and getting those fuzzy edges, which we don't want. All right. See how much that one brush load did all of that, and it was a fairly dry brush. Okay, one more little dip to go over these where the sunflowers are. Just going to give that a bit of a pounce and a swirl, just to give it a little bit more solid pop out from the sunflower. Let's have a look at that and see how that turned out. So you can still see the word the. Sorry, I can't tip it much further just at the moment. We'll get down there. Now, again, shifting this to where these words beside us and I'll add those right here. That should be centered. Tape my tape down. Now I will need to will I? No, I won't, because that's in the gap. This I will tape down because I can just see the letter B up onto this side of the board, and I don't want to hit that accidentally and have a weird looking letter showing on this side of the board. Okay, so just showing you how to bridge those gaps or go over those gaps. Offloading the brush again, we're doing just this section, so we just do a little bit at a time. And this, I'm using the 3/4 inch brush. The Essential Stencil Brushes are really great. Sometimes people have bought a couple of sets so that you can, I think I could have just got nicked the board in there, that's all right. Because, you know, when you're doing stenciling, a lot of sign making, you may need a couple of sets. But yeah, definitely use my code, I Restore Stuff, get you 10% off anything at Essential Stencil. You can also, if you wanted to join the Stencil of the Month Club, you can get 50% off your first month using my code IRestoreStuff at stencilofthemonthclub.com. And the club is so much fun because you get to join the Facebook group and see a whole bunch more stencilers, stencil ideas and inspirations. You know what? I do also have a design coming up for the Stencil of the Month Club. I believe it is for May, if I remember correctly. And I was just shown a sneak peek preview of my design because I, give them all the ideas and then they create the stencils around that, and I love it. I can't wait for you to see my design coming up in May. If you're in the Stencil of the Month Club, that will be sent to you. You get 3 huge this size stencils every month, and then you have an optional add-on to add, which is always coordinating with those 3 that are in the set. It always does, and it looks great. Okay, there we go. We've got the love. Now we just need to move this down one more for the amen at the end, and these words between us. Now I can see as we tape this down that this could be a little close, so I'll tape that. I've got the amen, and I don't want the wheat on there. I think I should be able to stencil though without that going too far over. So my brush, if it was any closer, I'd tape this off, but my brush won't hit that. It'll be okay. So I've got the amen. So if anything, for this one, I feel like the only thing I would possibly go over, again, is at the top with that very first word, the B on here, where it hits the sunflower. I might just go over that one more time, just to make it pop out a bit. And again, I don't want these wheat on because I've got the lovely transfers on. I think it would take away a little bit from that, so just using the words for this one. Let's see. All right, then you can just have a little look, step back, see how it looks. Let me just shift this up a wee bit. Yeah, so see that B at the top there? I could probably go over that a little bit more just to make that really pop and stand out a bit more from the sunflower, but you can definitely see what it says and tell. There we go, is that better? So yes, I can add some more transfers. I might add some more down onto this side here. And I've got those, you can see on the other live, I think it was, that I started doing, how I've layered 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 different transfers here that I've kind of layered on top of each other. So if you needed to know how to do that, you can check the first part of our live today and you'll be able to see that. So guys, I think that is all for today. So we are going to be looking for some winners in the comments right now. Let me see if I can pop the camera up so you can see. I've got to try and do this a really different way. Oh, my mum's here watching. Thank you, Mum. She says it's beautiful. And hopefully I'll see the prize winners here, but there'll be 3 lucky winners right here at the end, taken from the comments. Oh, Gail said, I can't see what you're doing because of the closed caption. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. This is going to be a horizontal one. You can actually swipe the captions aside, I think. I'm not sure. Or turn them off, I think. Oh, there we go. Congratulations, winners. Let me just read your names. Letta, Renda, and Brenda. Oh, some rhyming names today. Letta, Renda, and Brenda. So you can email Essential Stencil and let them know you won on my live today. And guys, thank you so much for being patient today after all of the little technical issues we had. I'm so glad I finally got the sign made, and I'll go and tweak some bits and add some bits, and you can follow me over on iRestoreStuff, my iRestoreStuff page. In fact, it's at iRestoreStuff on any of the social media platforms. I hang out a lot on Instagram, so I'd love to see you over there. YouTube, I've got a YouTube channel where I post a lot of my videos and tutorials. So I'd love to see you over there, and come and check out my page. I'll post some pictures of this later, and of course I always post it in the Stencil of the Month Club after we finish. So thanks guys so much for watching today and for all your patience. See you next week for another fun DIY. Bye.